Ruth Reed, thank you very much for coming in this morning. We were both at the Prince Charles lecture at the RIBA the other night. Was it controversial enough?
To turn that on its head, it was very good at laying to rest some old arguments and to perhaps build some bridges with the Prince and to work with the Trust. I think that there were opportunities that came out of it that perhaps were more important than the controversy that might have been generated. It could only have been an anticlimax after that build-up.
Is that, do you think, perhaps because the Prince is 25 years older and RIBA's 25 years older?
Well, we've all grown up and become sensible. Well, that would be a nice thought. I think, I think there's definitely a more measured approach to the issues on both sides. I think everybody reviews their ideas of style as they get older and definitely reassesses what design is. And I think that what was great about the debate in the media beforehand is that we started to discuss the difference between style and design, which was great.
Yeah. No, and I think that is something he's contributed in bringing it out into the public realm. He didn't touch on Chelsea Barracks.
No.
Do you think that was wise?
I think he was probably advised not to.
Yeah, and he did mention a couple of buildings and a couple of architects.
Yes, in a positive light.
Yeah, which he seems to like. But he reverted to organic forms as a basis for happy resonance with people. Do you think he's right on that?
I think what he's grappling with is probably the concept of cultural context and relevance of new development to place. But he's never quite got there. He still seems to think that he's got to backtrack and look at the historic precedent rather than understand how the modern approach can be integrated into existing city fabric. I think that he's never quite come at it as the forward-looking. He keeps looking back.
I think your comments on his concern about city fabric are quite important. It was something that concerned him during his speech. In practical terms, can we change our city fabric? Can we make it different?
I think we can do anything. I mean, I come from a city which reinvents itself all the time. Birmingham is constantly redefining its city fabric. I think when you've got London with a huge historic legacy, then you are more inhibited in what you can do. But reinterpretation is what the human race does. So it would be awful if we just got stuck in a groove and carried on delivering the same thing.
And with new technology coming through, this is obviously going to have quite an influence on the way people live and use buildings. But buildings tend to be stuck there for 100 years or more. How are these two forces going to interact?
Whatever we're building now has got to be far more adaptable than what we've built before. And it's going to take resources to build in that adaptability. And I think that's one of the major concerns at the moment is that buildings are going to be environmentally adaptable, they're going to be able to change use so that they're sustainable and that we don't have to keep knocking them down and rebuilding them. So there is a degree to which buildings, well, there's a lot to which buildings cannot be the same as they were because of this new agenda. And
so what are the buildings of the future going to look like, do you think?
Are you going back to the style question? I think the way they function can be defined in terms of adaptability. The way they look, thankfully, we've got this young generation of architects coming up who are addressing that issue for us. I mean, I'm not going to tell them the way to design.
And mixed-use schemes, therefore, are obviously very important in the way they do. Do you think we have enough understanding of the social impact of mixed-use schemes at the moment, or are we perhaps creating monsters now for 25 years hence?
We definitely know more than we did, particularly about where people live and in terms of integration of different communities and providing local facilities. The whole interaction of community with architecture is a learning process. I think what we need to do is to review what we've been doing, to constantly learn by researching the effects of decisions on the built environment, and then on all architects' decisions, of course. Yeah.
One of the things that the Prince said after his speech was he was concerned about the lack of practical training in an architect's education, that it was all rather academic. How do you feel about this? Something
that came through in his speech was a lack of awareness of the range of the way that we teach in this country. The strongest thing about our education system is its diversity and range. So some schools have a very practical approach to architecture. For instance, I was visiting Nottingham, and they're actually physically building a school in South Africa at the moment in a township. Other schools have a highly academic and conceptual approach to design. I think if there's a little bit to be done with the Palace is to talk, to show the range and demonstrate the way we teach, which in a lot of ways is student-led. They're bringing the issues to us.
I understand there's an initiative going to be taking place between RIBA and the Prince's Trust. Could you tell us a little bit about your hopes for that?
Well, I understand we're going to have 4 seminars. I would very much like it to involve students and young architects. I think we've managed to draw a line under the debate that was started 25 years ago, and I think it's a chance now to consider design in its broadest concept and to think about how we are influenced by our past and how we take that forward.
So do you think, were age permitting, that the Prince would be invited back in 25 years' time to give another presentation?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Definitely.
Ruth, thank you very much.
Pleasure.